Yo, what's going on, everybody? Take you on the road with me today, a little driver's edition. But just wanted to speak real quick on these tariffs. I know that they're just really going crazy right now, and everybody's kind of see what's happening with them. But I just want to kind of approach them from a slightly different angle, just to get people to understand what the true problem with this is. And I'm just going to take it outside of the tariffs themselves and just get it to the personality cult that we're in. Now, we all know that Donald Trump never admits when he's wrong, right? Ever. You can't tell me one time where he has ever admitted that he's wrong. And for him to like get out of a deal, or for him to get out of a situation, he has to be presented with a scenario in which he can lie and say he won. Like, for example, the wall in Mexico. You know what I'm saying? He was like, oh, Mexico is going to build the wall and pay for it. They did none of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to end the war in Russia in one day. He didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and so it's like he gets into, he lies about how he can affect the situation. When the situation is not impacted the way that he thinks, he then has to figure out some kind of way, even if it's the biggest lie on the planet, to try and wiggle out a victory to not admit that he's wrong. So just in a basic sense, how terrible is that we have a leader that can't admit when they're wrong ever? And this is something that's like an economic turmoil. Like, if you have a leader that like has literally lost like over $1 trillion in a day in self-inflicted wounds, that will never admit that he's wrong, and he's just going to be like, oh, well, just wait it out. I'm a really smart person. Like, how does that lead itself to us correcting ourselves at any point in time? He's never going to do it. It doesn't matter what happens. He is still going to stick with this. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's going to stick it out and put us through all the economic pain and turmoil that we'll need to, just so he can try to squeeze out some kind of win for himself. So I feel like that is an issue alone, period. But let's just digress from that and take it to like what the implications of these tariffs would be in effect, and kind of like the logic, if you can call it that, behind it. So in short, I mean, again, what I feel like they try to do, the Republicans for that matter, is they try to oversimplify every issue and then making it into like all good or all bad. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and what they're trying to make you believe is that like, oh, all these countries have been so unfair to the United States, and the United States is getting taken advantage of in every way. Now, let me just back that up for you in terms of a logic model. The United States has been in control of the world at minimum for the last 100 motherfucking years. Period. We've controlled, our currency is number one. Our economy has been number one. Our military has been number one. We're like the number one trading partner with everyone in the globe. Like, by every measure, we are the number one economy. So there is literally no way that you can be the number one economy and then be taken advantage of. Like, that's just not possible. This is a world that we have crafted. We have crafted through 80 years of deliberate intention to be in this world where we have the trade advantages that we have. Like, we did this. This wasn't anyone taking advantage of us. This was literally meticulous planning of the United States-led coalition to get us where we are. So just this narrative that they're putting off, that like, oh, we're victims of something, and this is like, the global community is coming against us, whatever, like, that's just a lie on its whole face. And if you studied anything about global history, anything about global finance and economics, you would see that this is just like absolutely asinine and crazy that they would ever even suggest something like this as a rationale for them just blowing everything up and literally making things worse than what they are today. And so, but also, let's just give it the benefit of the doubt and suggest that these tariffs are going into place and what it would actually have to mean in order for them to be successful. So what they're trying to do in a very simplistic way is like, hey, we want to bring manufacturing back to the United States, and we want to stop manufacturing in these global markets, and so we don't have to buy it. You know what I'm saying? We want to incentivize people buying things made in America, and we want to get foreign companies to do production back in America. But I feel like what we are missing from this equation is why production is not in America. No one is listening to that. We're just like, you just think companies just all of a sudden just decided to be like, oh, let's get the fuck out of here? Like, no, the reason why is because our economy became too mature. Right? We were a manufacturing powerhouse. And what happens in capitalism and global economies, this is actually good, is that when you have that manufacturing base that allegedly builds up a good middle class, then you are eligible for the higher level of jobs, like not manufacturing, but management and administration and all those things that America is and has moved into in the last 40 years. But what has happened is that we have not made the investments in public education to catch up. So instead of us saying like, hey, we need to retrain and re-educate the workforce, that workforce is like, we want to do the same thing we've been doing the entire time. But what they don't realize is that the same companies can no longer afford to employ them at that level. You can get an iPhone assembled in China for $500. You can get an iPhone assembled in the US for $1,500. If you're a company, what are you going to do? And it just is advantage of the fact that things cost more in America, where again, we're greater economies of scale. We require more things, and you're not going to get an American worker to work for the same wages that you get a foreign worker to work for. That's basic. And we know this. This is why we know that it's all a sham when they talk about workers that illegal immigrants do, because we all know damn well that like Americans are not doing those jobs, but they're just a red herring in order to get people to feel victimized and attack the victims as opposed to the businesses that are screwing everything over. But what it would suggest is that somehow the cost of doing business in America will be eliminated, and that we can just bring all these cheap manufacturing jobs back to America and pay them the same wages? No, you're not. You can't pay somebody in America $15,000, which is the manufacturing job wages that they pay in other countries. They can't afford that here. That's still sub-poverty here. So what are you posing? So by doing this, you're literally going to cause more expensive prices regardless. So either you're going to keep those foreign production things and you're going to have a tariff, or you're going to bring those production things back. If you bring them back to the United States, that's not saying that they will. Let's say you do. You're going to have to pay the American worker like 3 to 5 times more than you would pay the other worker. So how do you think that's going to reflect in the price? You still won't be able to afford it. So it's like, and to even get that manufacturing capacity, like, what do you think? You can just build a factory tomorrow? Like, that takes long-term infrastructure, building, contracts, all those things, figuring out where it's going to go, location, scouting, all that shit. So like, even if we were going to do it, this is going to be something that was going to take decades to actually actualize. And all these foreign companies know that Trump is going to be gone. So who's to say that that's even a wise investment for them to make? Because it's stupid. If another person came into office, they're not going to choose the economic policy that made us lose trillions of dollars, I hope. Right? So it's like, it doesn't even incentivize companies to be able to do it like right now, right? So it's just like, what are we doing here? Where we're being manipulated and fooled into this basic thing like, oh, well, let's bring back manufacturing jobs. But there's a whole bunch of other things that need to be considered when you're doing that. And the fact that our economy is too advanced to do it. You're literally arguing to keep horses and buggies in the midst of Henry Ford. I'm sure there were a lot of horse and buggy makers that went out of business, and there's a lot of horse and buggy manufacturers that were really upset about it. Look at it. Look what happened. It's the same thing happened when we had electricity. All the candle makers and land makers were really upset and trying to say of all the dangers about it and everything like that. This happens every time there's a mode of change in the industrial labor force at that time is used to something else. But you got to change. And we can't be made to be idiots and not move along in the future. The investments that need to be made in education and retraining. It doesn't need to be made into bringing antiquated jobs back here that we will never do, that we will never work, and that we will never have a strategic advantage in ever again. So until next time.